Okay, let's get started. Hello, everyone. Bringing another Crack Pack Pack One Pick One stream for Flesh and Blood today. I'm gonna start by doing another Welcome to Wraith booster, just to kind of reiterate the things that we were talking about in the last couple streams, and then I'm gonna skip Arcane Rising and we're gonna go right to Monarch. Not for any particular reason. I just feel like cracking some packs of Monarch. Um, I'll definitely also cover Arcane Rising in the future. Also, we just got some pretty enticing tidbits, just the barest hint of information about the next Flesh and Blood standalone set, Tales of Aria. They intimated 3 new heroes. There's going to be 3 blitz decks, 1 for each of the new heroes. I'm not entirely convinced that there will only be 3 heroes in the set, though. And I suspect that probably we will see only 1 talent, just the Arya talent in the set. But it looks, artwork's pretty cool. Very excited to see what's going on with it. So let's crack this pack of Welcome to Wraith and see if we can pinpoint our pack 1, pick 1. I think one of the things that I like most about drafting FAB is that even though in different formats I do think that like certain heroes are kind of traps, like I think that Azalea is pretty weak in Blitz, and I think that in Monarch, the Shadow heroes are kind of difficult to pull off in Sealed sometimes. Despite that, I don't think in Draft that really any of the heroes in any of the 3 draft formats are super unviable. I think you can really put together very serviceable and reasonably strong decks for any of the heroes. So our generics in this pack are pretty focused in a particular department. Let me turn that on. It's a little bit better. We have Regurgitating Slug, red, a reasonable. There we go. Look at that auto adjust. How nice. Reasonable addition to your deck. Gets Dominate if you have a Slogism in your graveyard. You can banish. This is generally speaking going to go into Bravo or into Rhinar. We have 2 different copies of Pummel. We have the blue and the yellow Pummel. Pummel is a 2-cost, a generic attack reaction. Choose one, target club or hammer weapon attack gets +2 or +3 in the case of the yellow one, or target attack action card with cost 2 or greater gets +2 or /+3, and if this hits a hero, they discard a card. So these exclusively can go into only Rhinar and Bravo because only they have clubs or hammers. You could put them theoretically into Dorinthia or Katsu, but you would be playing it just for the second mode, and it would be very strange if you were playing really expensive attacks in either of those decks. I guess theoretically some of Katsu's attacks cost 2, but you're not really doing that. That's not where you want to be. I don't think I'd first pick either of these, as they do put you pretty hard into 2 decks. Regurgitating Slug, kind of the same deal. Barraging Brawnhide, while Barraging Brawnhide is defended by less than 2 non-equipment cards, it has +1. This is the red one. It costs 3, and it's power 7. This is a great card for Rhinar. It's also fine in Bravo. So basically all your heavy hitter cards in our generic slot are equipment. Snapdragon Scalers, kind of a similar situation. Snapdragon Scalers, practically a ninja card. Destroys Snapdragon Scalers, target attack action card with cost 1 or less gains go again. I'm only really super excited about having this in Katsu. It doesn't defend, so the highest density of cost 1 or less attacks is ninja. Our rares, and I'm kind of humming through this because this is not the focus. I just kind of want to review. Our rares are Warrior's Valor and Staunch Response. Warrior's Valor yellow, that is a warrior card. Your next weapon attack this turn gets +2, and if this hits, the attack gains go again, go again. Really like this one, and this is very important for that deck if you're trying to draft it, because it gives potentially gives your attack go again. So it really forces them to block, and then you can get them with one of your tricks. Our last card is Staunch Response Blue, our last rare rather. As an additional cost to play Staunch Response, you may pay 4 resources. If you do, it gets +3 defense. It costs 2 by itself. So if you pitch 2 blue, you can make it defend for 8, basically. I'm not really looking to do this in limited. A lot of the time, your opponent's going to be attacking pretty well south of that. I don't hate it as a cost 2 defense reaction that blocks for 5. That's pretty good, but we're rarely using the ability, and I certainly wouldn't first pick this card. Our foil is Savage Swing, yellow. As an additional cost to play Savage Swing, discard a random card, and it costs 1 and attacks for 6. Love to have this in Brute. Condense these a little bit. Our Guardian commons are Emerging Power and Crush Confidence. Crush Confidence is the yellow version, costs 6. If Crush Confidence deals 4 more damage, they lose their hero effects and activated abilities. That's okay. Emerging Power. Beginning of reaction phase, destroy it, and the next Guardian attack gets +1, go again. It's the blue version, so certainly that's the one that we want to play the most because it is blue, and we need a lot of those. Then we have Awakening Bellow. Next brute attack gets +3, Intimidate, go again. Fine card, certainly like it. And a second copy of Yellow Savage Swing. So we have 3 brute cards. We have then 2 warrior cards. We have Driving Blade. Your next weapon attack this turn gains +2 and go again. And then it also has go again. That's a really good card for warrior. We really need these cards. And then Stroke of Foresight. Come on. No? You don't want to focus? Try. Target weapon attack gains +2 attack. Then defending hero is attacked with a card from their hand this chain link. Draw a card, then put a card from your hand on top or bottom of your deck. Cost 1. This is a really good card too. So we only have... I guess I should address the single ninja card. We're not taking it, but it is here. It's Rising Knee Thrust. Flag Tap was the last attack. Combat Chain. It gets +2 and go again. This is the middle of the kick combo. It's power 2, becomes power 4 go again if you're played Leg Tap before it. We're not taking that. It's the only ninja card in the pack, and the commons are also bad in Ninja. Snapdragon Scaler is pretty much a ninja card, but still, ninja by far represented the weakest. If we kind of look at cards as they are effective, this pack leans pretty heavily towards Brute or Guardian. Slog, Barraging Brawnhide, Pummel, Savage Swing, Awakening Bellow. Staunch Response is one of our rares, but I'm not that high on it. So I think that my temptation here is to probably take either a Brute card or Warrior's Valor. And so walk with me. There's only 3 warrior cards in this pack, but they're all quite good. Especially Driving Blade and Warrior's Valor I would prioritize pretty highly in that deck because they're getting us to our second sword attack, and that's a really big part of winning with Dorinthia, especially in general, but especially in limited. That said, if we take a Brute card or a Guardian card, but I'm more inclined. I think Rhinar is a bit better, and I generally like him more. I think that he performs a lot better in the common space. So we can really put together strong Rhinar even just from commons. So if we're looking at Brute, effectively 7 of the cards in this pack could go into a Brute deck. About that number could go into a Guardian deck, but we're a lot less happy playing Regurgitating Slog or Barraging Brawnhide, these red cards, in Guardian than we are in Brute. Just look at the Guardian cards 3, 2, 3, and look at the Brute cards in the pack 1, 1, 1. Like, cheap. You have to discard a card, but we're okay with that. We can have cards like Slog and Barraging Brawnhide. My inclination here is to take this foil Savage Swing, because I know that I have a very good chance, effect almost 100% chance of wheeling a card that I want. Like, literally everyone else in the pod would have to take all of these cards to completely cut me out of getting something back that I'm pretty, generally speaking, excited to play in my deck. Like, I think maybe this blue Pummel is kind of medium, but I would happily put any of these other cards into a Brute deck. And I would be pretty excited to pick up a second copy of Savage Swing out of a single pack. Like, that's really excellent. Or, Barraging Brawnhide, Regurgitating Slog, Awakening Bell. These are all great in Brute. So I think that I'm going to take the swing here and kind of keep myself really open to the idea of Brute. Maybe my second pack shows me something different. Maybe I get the feeling that I'm being edged out. But right here, this looks very like it would be very difficult for me to be cut out of Brute in this pack. Whereas, like, ninja cards are barely existent. We have strong but very few warrior cards. And if we're looking at Guardian, I'm not really excited about any of these. Like, Emerging Power is pretty good, Pummel's pretty good. I don't want to play either of these, and I don't love playing the yellow Pummel. So, like, I would probably take, if I was going Guardian, I'd probably take Staunch Response and then, hope to wheel like Emerging Power or Pummel, but I feel a lot more medium about that. Like, this is just, I think, a much stronger pick in this pack. Anyway, that's Welcome to Wraith. Now that we've become comfortable with the heroes and the cards in this set, let's abandon them immediately and go to a completely, not completely different, but very differently structured set with actually 2 of the same classes, although we will see quite different iterations of them. So we are going to Monarch. Now, Monarch was the 3rd draft set released just earlier in the summer, released in May, and this introduced talents. So there are 2 talents in Monarch, Light and Shadow, and they offer an additional card pool. So these packs, rather than being generics, equipment, rares, and then 1 or 2 cards from each of the 4 classes, these have generic / light and dark cards, an equipment, cards from either the classes or the light version of the class or shadow version of the class, and then the rares. So they're structured a little differently, and our draft considerations are a little different. Although the talent cards, the light and shadow cards that don't have a class associated with them, sort of fall into a middle ground between a generic or a class-specific card. So we have Iris of Reality here, which is Prism's generic default weapon. So the 4 classes in the set are Warrior, which we just saw in Welcome to Wraith, Brute, also in Welcome to Wraith, and then Illusionist, which is a new class, and Runeblade, which was featured in Arcane Rising. Only they are Shadow Runeblade, Shadow Brute, Light Warrior, Light Illusionist. So that sort of adds a different flavor and a different kind of bent to the cards. So let's and this pack is all mixed up. So rather than in the front, the generics are actually in back. So we will look at class cards first. So we have Arcane Crackle, which is a Runeblade card. It is a 0-cost Runeblade card, pitches for blue, attacks for 1, deals 1 arcane damage to target hero. So, okay, let's talk about arcane damage for those who don't know, or just learning to play the game. Arcane damage can't be blocked like regular damage. It can only be blocked by effects that block arcane damage. In Arcane Rising, there was a set of null rune equipment, one for each equipment slot, where you could pay 1 resource to block 1 point of arcane damage every time an instance of arcane damage came at you. In comparison, this set does not have null rune equipment. There are a few effects that can block individual instances of arcane damage, but generally speaking, arcane damage is pretty tough to block and limited in this format. So as far as Runeblade attacks go, we don't hate Arcane Crackle, even though it seems very weak. You're paying 0 to attack for 1 and deal 1, but probably the 1 arcane damage that you're dealing is unblockable, and the 1 point of physical damage you're dealing is really annoying. Like, uh, you're virtually guaranteed to be overblocking it. I don't think there's a single effect in this set that blocks for 1. And Chain, who is the Shadow Runeblade in the set, he is trying to attack many times, and he has a way that he can make all of his attacks can go again. So if this is the last attack or even the first attack in a series of attacks you're making on your turn, it's really annoying. And that 1 arcane damage can close out a game because it can be unblockable. Our next card is actually a Shadow Runeblade card. This is Bounding Demigon. Bounding Demigon. If you have played a non-attack action card this turn, you may play Bounding Demigon from your banish zone. If you do, it gains +1 attack. And it has Blood Debt, which is the shadow mechanic. So if these cards are in your banish zone, which is the FAB equivalent of the exile zone in Magic, only you play with it a lot more. And the Shadow Talents thing is it lets you play cards or interact with cards very often from your banish zone, but it also has this blood debt mechanic where you lose life if at the end of your turn these are in your banish zone. This is a pretty good card. Power 4 attack for 0. Can play it out of your banish zone. We don't hate it for sure. I don't think I'd first pick it because obviously it's a Shadow Runeblade, so it's only going into Chain, and it is just a common. So we're probably not going to start our pack there. We have only 1 Levia card, the Shadow Brute. It's Unworldly Bellow. As an additional cost to play Unworldly Bellow, banish 3 random cards from your graveyard. The next Brute or Shadow attack action card you play this turn gets +4 attack. Go again. Levia, unlike Chain, she can turn off the blood debt of her cards in banish by banishing a card every turn that's an attack card with 6 or more attack power, which calls back to Brute. Brutes care about 6 or more attack power. So this is one of the enablers for that, and it's also a card which pumps up the power of your attack, as like Rhinar, she generally speaking wants to go pretty tall. Good card, good enabler. Only Shadow Brute or Brute card in the pack though, so we're not really stoked on it because we're probably not getting a ton back in that case. Our light hero side of things, we have 2 warrior cards. Second Swing, 1 cost, yellow pitch. If you've attacked with a weapon this turn, your next attack this turn gets +3. Go again. Bolton is the light warrior in the set, and he has 2 axes as his default weapon, so he attacks with them in tandem. This is a pretty good way to make the second attack really punishing. If you can try and bait out some blocks with your first attack, you can really punish your opponent with the second one. But unlike Dorinthia, light warriors have attack action cards in their class, and this is one of them. Take Flight is a light warrior attack action, as an additional cost to play Take Flight. You may, gosh, we're really struggling to autofocus here. You may charge your hero's soul. What that means, charging a hero soul, as you see from the advice text, is put a card from your hand under your hero card. And the reason you do that, Bolton and Prism also want to activate their hero abilities by banishing cards from their soul. So it's an important source of resources for them to get cards into their soul. If you do charge this, Take Flight gets Go again. It counts that if you've charged this turn, counts the additional cost because the cost is paid before the card resolves. So this could be a cost 1, power 4, Go again attack. Seems good. Are we first picking it? Probably not, but it's not bad. Then we have 1. Yeah, these packs are very different. So we have only 1 Illusionist card. It is Herald of Rebirth. Blue, pitch, 2 costs. If Herald of Rebirth hits, put it into your hero's soul and put up to 1 card with Phantasm from your graveyard on top of your deck. It has Phantasm. It is an attack that is power 5. It costs 2. So Phantasm is the illusionist thing. And what it means is if your opponent blocks your attack with an attack action card and it has 6 or more power, it breaks your attack. So it means your attack doesn't resolve at all. You don't get Go again. If your attack had Go again, you're just done. Unless you have an extra action somehow. So illusionist attacks are very powerful, but they're very vulnerable to that blocking circumstance. Prism really likes yellow cards. Her ability cares about having yellow cards in her pitch zone, so we're actually not that high on blue cards like this. I'm pretty low on a power 5 attack that has a on hit bonus for 2. That's not that great in general. Let's see what our generics are. We have only 1 actual generic, and then the rest are talent cards. We have Minnowism is our only generic in this pack, sub-rare. And it is, gosh darn it, there we go. The next attack action card with 3 or less base power you play this turn gets +3 power. Go again, costs nothing, pitches for 0. Find card to put into Chain really likes this. Bolton is pretty happy about this card too. Generally speaking, this is not what Levia or Prism are doing, so we're not really looking for that with those 2. So this puts us into is actually like a card that probably puts us into 50% of the decks. That's just about the same as a talent card in this particular context. Our shadow cards, there's 3 of them. The first is Spew Shadow, a power or a cost 2 card, pitches for blue. Choose an attack action card with cost 0 in your banish zone. You may play it this turn. If it attacks a light hero, it gains +2 attack. Go again. This card is pretty narrow. It can be good against a light hero, certainly, but I'm not first picking it by any stretch of the imagination. That would be crazy, I think. Blood Tribute is our next shadow card. Yellow pitch, cost 0, opt 2. It's an instant. Then banish the top card of your deck. This is pretty good for Levia or Chain, being able to see the card before you banish it, and this can help you get stuff into your banish zone to attack with Chain or to trigger Levia's ability. I like this card quite a bit. I would maybe consider taking it. Honestly, it's the first card I think that I'm really seriously considering. I really like Arcane Crackle, and I like playing Runeblade. As anyone who knows me knows, a lot. But I just don't think I'd first pick it. Lunartide Plunderer is our last shadow card. Cost 3, power 7 attack. If it hits a hero, banish it and up to 1 card from their soul. This card's just pretty good. It's really, really good in Levia, especially, particularly the yellow and the red versions, because they banish themselves if they hit, which can trigger Levia's ability, and then also, incidentally, can bleed cards off a light hero soul. But 3 for a power 7 attack, just pretty good. It only defends for 2. That's worth noting, too. This set has something that you don't really see very much in the first 2, which is cards with no defense value. And Blood Tribute is one of them. It has no defense value, which is a knock against it. Lunartide Plunderer blocks for 2, kind of in line with the generic blocking schema. Discussing our light cards, our light talent cards, is going to be really easy because they're both the same card. They're both Rising Solar Tide Blue. Cost 1, it's a power 3 attack. If it hits, it goes into your soul. It's fine. I'd probably prefer to play it in Bolton as opposed to Prism, and I'm not excited about it in either place. It's not an exciting card. It's a fine card, but not exciting. Not taking it here. Our equipment is narrow but powerful. It is Hooves of the Shadow Beast, Shadow Brute equipment. It blocks for 1, already loving it. Block for 1 equipment that has other abilities. Whenever a card with 6 or more attack is put into your banish zone, you can destroy Hooves of the Shadow Beast, and if you do, you get an action point. So you can go again. You can attack it with an additional attack. I really like this. This is extremely powerful. And it has Battle Worn, so you can block with it and then still use its ability after that. This is currently the front runner for my first pick. This is a very strong card. Even though it's specifically for Shadow Brute, I'm very inclined to take it because even though there's only 1 Brute card in here, Unworldly Bellow, Lunartide Plunderer is best in Shadow Brute, and Blood Tribute is also a card I'd consider putting in Shadow Brute more than Chain. So that's 4 cards already that I'm pretty excited about putting into that deck. Our rares, we have 2 rares. They are Seek Horizon, yellow, 0 cost attack, pitches for 2 as an additional cost to play it. You may put a card from your hand on top of your deck. If you do, Seek Horizon gains go again, and it attacks for 3. It's a neat little card. You're probably playing it in either Chain or Bolton again because they're the ones looking to go wide. It is a generic though, so it keeps you pretty open. I'm definitely thinking about it. And our last card, a card that I think is probably the card I would consider taking next to Hooves of the Shadow Beast, because of how open it leaves me, is Tremor of Arathale. I'm sure I didn't pronounce that right, but who knows? It's not even a real place. This is the yellow version, costs 1. If a card has been put into your banish zone this turn, this attack gets +2 attack, and it attacks for 3, so that would be a power 5 attack for 1 resource, defends for 2. So you think about putting cards in your banish zone, you immediately think, okay, well, it's a shadow thing. But that's not the case because every hero in this set banishes cards as a primary function of their class. So shadow characters are banishing cards from either their deck or their graveyard. Light heroes banish the cards from their soul, so they also can trigger Tremor. So this is a very, very open card. It can realistically achieve its conditional trigger in any deck. That said, power 5 for one resource is pretty good, but not mind blowing. It's still very blockable. I think that here I take hooves, and I've kind of come around on this. Like earlier in drafting the set, I tried to stay more open, but I just have seen the power of this card, and it's really considerable. We might not end up getting the brute, but we have a pretty good chance, and this card is worth trying. It's very powerful. I would, if I did not take hooves though, if hooves was not in here, if a worse equipment was in here, I'd take tremor. It can go into any deck. It is medium in any deck, and it's yellow, which helps prism. So these would be my two picks. I would take hooves though here. It's a little bit more nuanced because of the talent cards, but sort of a similar thing to Welcome to Wraith, where we're trying to consider potential power level versus staying open. Like Tremor is not a super powerful card necessarily, but it leaves us the chance of it going into our deck is 100%. If we take Tremor, it's going into our deck. There's no deck it doesn't go into. We're gonna play it. Whereas like Hooves, we have to. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Worst case scenario, Hooves gets taken away from the brute drafter at the table. Fair enough. I try to be a good drafter and not think too deep into that. Certainly not my pack one pick one. Like that's next level spite. But fair enough. It is powerful, and I certainly don't want to play it against me. And I would like to be the one playing it. But yeah, Tremor. Hooves maybe not going to your deck, but it is very powerful. Tremor, medium power, but always goes into your deck. This is Prism, by the way. Here she is, reading a book or something. Come on, just do it. Adjust. There you go. And then here on the back, Adult Hero Prism, Sculptor of Arclight. Yeah, her thing is you can pay 2 resources, banish a card from her soul. She makes a Spectral Shield, which is this thing, and they prevent 1 point of damage and they break, but you can make multiples of them, and Prism can also attack with these on her turn. Her weapon turns them into weapons on her turn. Alright, let's see what we got in this pack. We have 1 Shadow Rune Blade, 2 Shadow Brute, 2 Light Illusionist, and 1 Light Warrior card, and then a lot more generics. So our first card here is Rifted Torment. You may play it from your Banish Zone. If you do, deal 1 arcane damage to target hero. Blood Debt. Costs 2, attacks for 3. Again, this deals arcane damage, so pretty powerful in this format where blocking arcane damage is kind of challenging. Still medium though, and also very specific to class. Dread Screamer is our first brute card. Costs 2, pitches for 1. As an additional cost to play, you have to banish cards from your graveyard, and if a card with 6 or more power is banished this way, it gets go again, which is pretty wild. This is a power 6 attack that only costs 2 resources and can get go again, and it has Blood Debt. So it both enables turning on Levi's ability and also can just beat the hell out of you. Powerful common. Don't know if we're going all in. Yeah, yeah, go again wins for sure. Our Boneyard Marauder is the next card. As an additional cost to play Boneyard Marauder, banish 3 random cards from your graveyard. and has Blood Debt. So this costs 1, strictly worse than Dread Screamer, though I think. Dread Screamer costs a little bit more, but it's the same attack power and has the potential to go again. So, I mean, if I was going to take one of these cards, it would be Dread Screamer, not Boneyard Marauder. Not that I hate Boneyard Marauder, it's just pretty worse. Our Light Warrior card, Cross the Line, is an additional cost to play Cross the Line. You may charge your hero's soul, cost 1, attacks for 5. Like it a lot. It doesn't have go again, but powerful attack. And Captain's Call is a rare in the set that can give attacks like Cross the Line go again. Not that we necessarily count on seeing rares, but we might. Wartune Herald is our next card. It is a blue 1 cost, attack for 5. If it hits, put it into your hero's soul and Phantasm. Unexciting. It's blue. Don't love that. It's only tagging for 5. It goes into your soul, which is good, but otherwise it's not doing anything, and it has Phantasm. Not really interested. Herald of Tenacity, a little bit more interesting. It is a 2 cost red pitch, power 6 attack with Dominate, and if it hits, it goes into your soul. And it also has Phantasm. So again, like, this is an example of, like, if I was going to take Wartune Herald or Herald of Tenacity, I'd take Herald of Tenacity. Pretty much the only way this is getting fully blocked is if your opponent can break it with their Phantasm breaking power 6 attack, which could happen. But if we were going to take one of these cards, which I don't think I am, it would be Herald. We have 3 generic commons this time. They are Belittle, which is the companion card to Minnowism, which we saw in the last pack. It is a power 1 cost blue attack. Is an additional cost to play it. You may reveal an attack action card with 3 or less base power from your hand. If you do, you can search your deck for Minnowism, or reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. I think that this card's kind of a trap. It goes okay in Chain, because so long as you have the Minnowisms, because Chain's going to attack with a lot of small attacks, and he cares about non-attack actions sometimes because he's a Rune Blade. And it goes pretty good in Bolton, but it's quite bad in Levia or Prism. So it's a little bit narrower and it's certainly narrow for the power level. And for it to be worth putting into your deck, you really need some Minnowisms to get. You need at least 1 Minnowism that you're going to get with it. Otherwise, it's a quite bad attack. You're paying 1 for a power 1 attack. It has go again, but it's kind of a rough rate. Consider, like, in Welcome to Wraith, we have Head Jab from Katu. It's a cost 0 attack that attacks for 1 with go again. So, and then we have Frontline Scout. Speaking of weak attacks, Frontline Scout. Blue, pitches for 3, cost 0, attacks for 1. You may look at Defending Hero's hand. If Frontline Scout is played from Arsenal, it gains go again. I am not looking to put this card in my deck. The main place it's good is, like, if you're playing Prism, like if you're playing as Prism, and this is in your arsenal, you can look at your opponent's hand to see if they can break your attack with Phantasm before you attack with your real attack, but that's pretty narrow, and this card's just underwhelming. We've seen better cards than this substantially already. Our last generic is Warmonger's Recital. It is a blue pitch, 1 cost non-attack action. The next attack action card you play this turn gets +1, and if this hits, put it on the... That's true. Yeah, blue is good Iris food. That's not wrong. So, like, yeah, Frontline Scout, probably you would only ever play the blue version, and the best place it could go is into Prism, but that's still narrow for a first pick. Like, maybe we'd pick this up on the wheel, but we don't want to take it first. Warmonger's Recital, anyway, if if this hits, put it on the bottom of your deck, and then go again. So it pumps an attack slightly and gives it an on-hit trigger. This isn't bad, but not necessarily something I'm prioritizing. You kind of want this. This is a really cool way to recycle chains cards where you attack with them, banish them, attack with them again with this on them to put them back in your deck, and then maybe attack with them a third time. But I don't love the blue version. I kind of want the red version. And again, not powerful enough to first pick. A lot of blues here in the generic slot. We then have 2 shadow cards and no light talent cards because, again, we had so many just regular generics. We have a red Spew Shadow. Choose an attack action card with 2 cost or less in your banished zone. You may play it this turn. If it attacks a light hero, gains +2. Go again, costs 2. The red version's better because it's got a wider range of targets, but it still costs 2, and it's still only really doing work against light heroes. Although I think most of the time you're going to encounter a bias towards people drafting light, so that kind of makes this a little bit better on meta balance. But it's not a card. I'm not taking it here. Like, it's just not what I'm doing. Our last shadow card is Void Wraith. Red pitch, costs 2 to play. You may play it from your banished zone always. It has blood debt. It attacks for 5. This is just 1 point of strength away from me really wanting it in Levia. So I'm pretty much playing this for chain. Although it is nice to, it's still good in Levia because it lets you bank an attack into your banish zone, and she doesn't. So long as she keeps hitting her trigger ability, you don't have to pay for this being in your banish zone. It's not bleeding with the blood debt necessarily. It's powerful certainly, and it's kind of nice to have the potential to stow away cards for later. But we're still not first picking. We're not quite there. Our equipment is Ironhide Helm. This is a generic equipment. It defends for 0, but when you defend with it, you can pay a resource. If you do, it gets +2 defense, and you destroy it when the combat chain closes. There's a full set of these, one for each equipment slot in Monarch. I haven't settled in how I feel about them, except that I like them best in a match set of 3. Unlike the Ironhide or the Iron Rot equipment, which you feel more than happy to play a single copy of, or a single example of, like maybe just the legs or just a helmet or whatever, because you don't have to pay for them, so they're just a free point of block somewhere. These I kind of want to be able to pitch a blue card and then block like 6, block a big attack or block a series of, moderate attacks. Once I'm paying for them, I kind of want to be using all of them, and I sort of want to have more. I don't really want to pitch a single, like pitching 1 card to defend for 2 is not a good rate, but pitching 1 card to defend for 6 is pretty good. You're giving up a blue card, but depending on your deck, maybe you have enough of those that it's okay. 4 gets to be a kind of redundant, but I mean, if I was running 3 and I didn't have anything else, I'd certainly run the 4th. All of that said, don't know if I want to first pick this. I think that in Welcome to Wraith, if this were Iron Rot Helm, I'd snap it off first pick pretty much without looking at any of the cards sub-rare slot, like unless there was a powerful rare or Majestic in one of those slots, I would just take the Iron Rot equipment, like without even thinking about it. Our rares, we have a foil rare, Captain's Call, I was talking about earlier. Cost 0. This one pitches for 2. Choose one. The next attack action card with cost 1 or less you play this turn gets +2 attack. The next attack action card with cost 1 or less you play this turn gains Go Again, and then it has Go Again. So it can either pump an attack or it can give an attack go again. This is pretty good in mostly, again, Chain and Bolton, but it's quite good there. Maybe I'd first take this. I don't know. It's pretty versatile. It's in the running for sure. Our first rare is Writhing Beast Hulk. It costs 2 yellow. Pitch as an additional cost to play it. You banish 3 random cards from your graveyard. Pretty common theme, I'm sure you're noticing with Levia's cards. If a card with 6 or more attack is banished this way, it gains Dominate, and it has Blood Debt. And it attacks for 5, which is kind of unfortunate, because that is 1 less than Brute really wants. Brute looking strong in this pack, but I'm still hesitant to take this card. I would say that Bolton also looks strong in this pack, because Belittle, Warmonger's Ritual, Captain's Call, Cross the Line, all very much Bolton viable cards. Also Ironhide Helm. Our last card, okay. Yeah, so this sort of supports that even more. Our last card is a Majestic, which makes this debate kind of less interesting because it's a very powerful one. This is Bolting Blade. It is a light warrior attack action, Majestic. It costs 4 resources and pitches for 2, but it attacks for 7, and it has a rider tax, which is it costs 2 resources less to play for each time you've charged this turn. So this is a big payoff for charging a whole bunch. If you attack with the card, you play Cross the Line, for instance, and you may charge your hero soul. So you attack with this, you charge your hero soul, you find a way to give it go again, either like a card like Captain's Call or Bolton's ability if you can pump the power of this card. You charge with something else, another go again, and obviously this is like an ideal turn I'm describing, but you attack with the light hero card, go again. Attack with the light hero card, go again. If you can find a way to charge twice, this attack action is a free cost 7 attack action. That said, I would be very happy to pay 2 resources to attack for 7 with this card. Yeah, thanks for watching, man. I'll post the video after. I'm gonna do one more pack after this. Yeah, I think you're right. Like, if we were in the middle of the draft, like Screamer seems pretty good. If we have like Hooves or something, but pack one, pick one, Bolting Blade, no question, snap it off. Like, I don't even think I need to play coy about it. That's where I'm going here. Like, I'm gonna snap off Bolting Blade. I know I have a pretty good chance of getting some other stuff for Bolton out of this pack, and I'm just gonna look out for good cards for Bolton. Gonna do one more pack, and then I'm gonna call it for the night. Last pack of Monarch. That's the first time I think that we've done a pack on stream and it had a Majestic that just stopped making the pack be a debate. We got a Soul Shackle and a Ravenous Meat Axe token. Meat Axe is Levia's weapon. So we are 2 Rune Blade, 2 Light Warrior, 1 Brute, 1 Illusionist, and then we got a lot of generics. We have almost no, and so that's the thing with these packs is you can end up with a lot of cards of a particular type rather than a pretty consistent amount. So we have 1 light card and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 generics. So let's break it down. And then we have Ironhide Plate, which I kind of already explored with. So Monarch sort of works, again, like Welcome to Wraith, in that each of the each of the classes has a piece of equipment that had defends for 1 and has a secondary ability, and they're each in a different equipment slot. So, for instance, Hooves is the Shadow Brute one, and that's a legs. Chains is a chest armor. It's Ether Weave plate, and I like that quite a bit as well. So if we were gonna, for instance, if we were considering drafting Chain, we'd like this equipment less on balance than, say, Ironhide Helm or something. But that's just something to keep in mind. So our light cards, we have Wartune Herald yellow. If it hits, it goes into your soul. Costs 1. Attacks for 6. This is what we want in Prism. We want yellow pitch cards because they activate her ability. So we're very much about this. Light Warrior. We have Courageous Steel Hand. If you've charged this turn, target attack, it's +1. It costs 0, pitches for 3. Fine way to pay for like your axe attacks, for instance. Otherwise, very medium. Not for snatching it. Take Flight. Again, as an additional cost to play it, we can charge. If we do, it gets go again. Power 4, red pitch, costs 1. Solid. Not exciting, but solid. Our shadow cards, Riftbind red for Shadow Runeblade. Costs 1, and I may play it from my banish zone, and if I do, it gains +X, where X is the number of non-attack action cards I've played this turn. In my experience, in Limited, X's most frequent value after 1 is 0, so, and like probably, you have a pretty good chance of it being 1, but still, it doesn't have go again, and we're maybe getting +1 or 2, so it's a power 5 attack for 1 at best. Probably a power 3 or 4 attack. I don't like it. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. The main selling point of Riftbind, I don't think you want a lot of these, but 1 or 2 is okay just because you can always play them from your banish. We have Piercing Shadow Vice, 2 costs, blue pitch, Shadow Runeblade attack action. You may play it from your banish zone. If you have dealt arcane damage to an opposing hero this turn, Piercing Shadow Vice gets +2 attack, and it has Blood Debt. This one blocks for 3, and it's a power 2 attack. I'm not wowed by either of these Shadow Runeblade cards. Our last class card, Hungering Slaughter Beast, Shadow Brute action, costs 2. Is initial cost to play it. Banish 3 random cards from your graveyard. Has Blood Debt, attacks for 5. Swing and a miss. If it was the yellow one, attack for 6. I like it a lot better. Our 1 talent card is, I think, a pretty solid middle of the road talent card. This is Illuminate. Red pitch, cost 0. Power 4 attack. If it hits, it goes in your hero soul. It's just like as middle of the road for a light card as you can get. But I like it. I think it's a solid addition to a light deck. We have now 5 generics. Yellow Frontline Scout. Again, I think this card's pretty narrow. Although I really like the yellow one for Prism, because she sure likes yellow pitch cards. We have Rally the Rearguard. This is a neat little card. Red, so it pitches for 1, costs 2. It is a power 6 attack. Once per turn, though, as an instant, you can discard a card to give it +3 defense if you're defending with it. So it defends for 2, but you can pitch, or you can discard a card once per turn when you're defending with it to make it defend for 5. So if you have this and another bad defense card, a card with no defense value or a defense value of 2, you can discard the card to give this one +3 and get extra equity. And it's also power 6 attack. I like this card a lot. Like I think it's a powerful generic. It's good as an attack. Levi loves it. Certainly, Prism likes to have it. Anyone will like to have it because it breaks all of Prism's attacks, and then it just defends really well. It's just a very good common, I think. Particularly the red version of this card, I think is awesome for a common. If I didn't see anything powerful in the rare slots, I would probably take this card right now. We have Blue Warmonger's Recital. Don't need to harp on this too much. Probably not first picking it. We have Blue Adrenaline Rush. This is a generic attack that costs 2, attacks for 2, but when you play it, if you have less life than opposing hero, it gets +3 attack, so it would attack for 5. Still, attacking for 5 for 2 resources is not tremendously above rate. It is for a blue card, so that's a pretty great blue card, but you have to be behind. And there's some pretty big swingers in this set, so in terms of like single attacks that take off huge chunks of your life. I like this card, but I'm probably not first picking it. Certainly not over Rally the Rear Guard. And then our last generic is Brandish, a card which I like a lot for Benji, but I don't know how much I like it in limited here. Power 2 attack. If it hits, your next weapon attack this turn gets +1 power. Go again. It costs 1. Pitches for yellow. Considering that so this is pretty good though still because everyone has weapons they attack with, including even Prism, who you think wouldn't, but she turns her auras into weapons, so Brandish works for her too. It's a okay card. I think it's pretty versatile, and this yellow one has slightly wider application because of Prism, but I don't think I'd take it over Rally the Rear Guard. Let's see if our rares put me off of Rally. We have Endless Maw, a brute card. It is a red pitch. It costs 3. It attacks for 6. There's an additional cost to play it. We have to banish 3 random cards from our graveyard. Very typical. Again, we're used to seeing that. Card with 6 or more powers banished this way. Endless Maw gains +3 attack, and it has Blood Debt. So this could potentially be a power 9 attack for 3 resources. That's bad. We don't want to get hit by that. Still, they can multi-block it, and there's a fair bit of setup associated with it. I think this is good, but it's not putting me off of this powerful generic yet, because I would have to play Levia to take this. Final card, Outmuscle. This might put me off of Rally the Rear Guard. This is a generic rare. It is a 3-cost, 1 pitch, a red pitch attack. And it attacks for 6 for 3 resources, and when it isn't defended by a card with equal or greater power, it has Go Again. So this card breaks Phantasms. It attacks for 6 for 3 resources, and it threatens to attack with Go Again for 6 with 3 resources. If your opponent can't block with a pretty powerful attack. So pretty much, I would say basically if your opponent isn't Levia or Prism, probably they can't block this and not have it have Go Again. That said, it costs 3 to play, so at best you're down 2 cards from a 4-card hand to play this card. You're gonna pitch a blue for 3 resources and then play this for 3 resources. This is good. The question is, I don't actually know if it's better than Rally the Rear Guard, which just has a broader application. Outmuscle defends for 2. Rally the Rear Guard could defend me for 6. Or for 5, rather. And it attacks for 6 just like Outmuscle. It's 1 cheaper. It can't have Go Again, but I'm not sure how often you have the cards to fully take advantage of the Go Again when you play Outmuscle, because it's quite expensive. I think that it's very close. I think that either choice is defensible, but me personally, if I'm looking at this pack, I'm gonna take Rally the Rearguard. I think here, you're more likely to see more of these than Outmuscle, but I think that people value Rally pretty high, so you're probably not going to wheel it very far. So I think it's reasonable to prioritize picking it up, and I'd be pretty happy to have it in my deck, any deck basically. Um, yeah, so I think that I'm gonna take this common over the rares here, and over Ironhide, which I'm kind of, like I said, neutral on. I don't think I would pass on equipment for too long, just because having equipment better than not having equipment. But I do think that this card is very strong, so I would take it. But uh, I think that any of these is a reasonable pick. This probably less than these two, and I think that it's quite close between these two. That's gonna do it for my stream for tonight. Hope that this was informative and at least mildly interesting. And again, I hope that these videos are useful to sort of, even if I'm not authoritative on drafting FAB, I hope that they give you some interesting things to think about and a starting point to sort of start your drafts by, even if your assessment of an individual card is different, this is what you want to be thinking about. What is presented in the pack? Uh, what could I potentially wheel in this pack? What keeps me open in case something else presents itself to me in the next pack and I want to change my assessment from the first pack? All those things are important to consider uh, when you're, when you're starting a draft. So that way you don't end up getting past a powerful card in a specific, uh, class in the second pack. In the second pack you get, and you've sort of already tried to commit yourself to, something else. And also, in a similar, less extreme vein, you don't want to marry yourself too much to your early picks and then end up missing out on a really powerful deck because you weren't looking at those class cards. It's important to consider, you know, even pretty late into the first pack, well, how deep am I into the class that I'm trying to draft? And am I actually seeing a lot of good cards for a different class go around? And should I reconsider because that seems really open? Uh, those aren't easy questions to answer, but they're important to consider. They'll help you to draft better and win more games. Thanks for watching. I will probably try to post another video, either another crack pack or a sealed deck tech later this week. And I'm going to kind of keep on trucking with these, hopefully, as we progress into Road to National season. And look forward to seeing you all at our Road to Nationals event. And I'm planning to attend one myself as a player later in the season. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.